Hello, this is Helen Reed. I am popping in here to talk a little bit about conflict. My mum and sisters have arrived in Spain to visit for the week, so I'm on my way to go and meet them. They haven't been able to come, or they haven't chosen to come for the last 2 years, so it's really cool to have them back here and get to spend some time with them. My sister is having a baby in June, so this is the last time I'll see her before probably I go back to meet my first niece. I'm super excited. I'm the only one in the family so far to have children, so it's pretty cool to think that there'll be some other children around and someone else will understand what it's like to balance all the things with being a mum. So conflict. Last week in one of the podcasts I was talking about how I'd had a really hard day and I'd had a pretty kind of explosive confrontation with a friend who I really love and I really value, and that was a really hard experience. And what happened was, instead of using kind of polite, respectful, non-violent communication, I felt I had so much emotion around the topic that we were talking about, which was all about parenting and the way that, and using consequences and kind of blanket consequences, and which are pretty much punishments in my view, when rules are broken. And this is not just relevant to parenting, it's relevant to the way that we facilitate the educational experience that we provide at Las Tortugas Curiosas, which is the educational project that I co-founded and facilitate at the moment in the south of Spain, in just outside the village where we live. But the reason why, so it's a topic that's really close to my heart, obviously, and it's really kind of central to our project and my vision in relation to the project, and also the way that I want to parent. And I don't always get it right. And I think that there's a real balance between, and this comes down to also my interactions in like all relationships. It's when I feel kind of overwhelmed by emotion at home, we have this agreement between me and my husband Tom and my kids Mia and Jack, that if we feel so overwhelmed by emotion that we don't think we can interact with each other in a respectful way, then we say code red. And then the other people around know not to talk to us, not to approach us, and to just give us a bit of space to process how we're feeling. I'm still navigating, because there's that, and so often what happens is then I would go away, and if I was feeling really angry, I would process that anger however I was guided to process it. Sometimes it would involve screaming, sometimes it would involve shifting more quickly to kind of crying, sometimes it would involve punching pillows or my mattress. But I'll leave anger the expression of anger as a topic for another day, because I could talk for a long time about that. I'll just wait for this moped to pass. But what I'm learning to navigate, and what I'm still not sort of 100% sure about, is when it comes to conflict, you can learn about non-violent communication and authentic relating and respectful communication, basically. And I think that that's a great vision to have, to be so grounded in our bodies and so present with the people that we're with, that we express ourselves and communicate with and relate to other people in a really respectful way. But then, and this has partly come through being called out by my children, is that sometimes when I say things that are the right things, that are the respectful things, but my energy isn't in alignment with what I'm saying, because I'm not fully embodied and integrated enough in my respectful parenting and just respectful person journey to always be able to be aligned with what I'm saying, then my children will call me out. So they'll say like, no you don't, that's not true, like you're lying, or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, I don't feel like that right now. And so I think we have to be really careful. Well, I want to be really careful with when it's appropriate to communicate respectfully, when actually we feel something quite different. And it kind of, someone described it recently to me as the dark side of non-violent communication, when these people are having this conversation, but there's this like underlying really like passive aggressive energy that is being suppressed. So I think the code red works really well for that, because it means that we go away and process our emotions, but it also means that we're not really witnessed in the processing of them, or at least the way that our system works at the moment, we're not, because we kind of take ourselves away. So all of this to come back to last week, when I had this conflict with this friend, and we were able to really witness each other being a bit shit to each other. Like the way that I expressed what I wanted to express, which I could have expressed at another time when I'd gone away and processed my emotions. And I could have suppressed how I was feeling, and in a quite misaligned way used non-violent communication to communicate what I wanted to say. I could have done that. But that meeting with that person started with me getting there a little bit early, which is very unlike me, but something that I would like to work more towards, and praying to God and just asking God to open me and us as a collective for anything that needed to be expressed or shared to come up, to be shared and expressed during that meeting. Not trying to control it, but just saying like, I'm open, open me to what is meant to be shared and expressed here today. And then that's what happened. I kind of came out with this really just harsh way of expressing the harshness that I was feeling in my body, really. And it really triggered my friend. So much so that, I saw her fire. I saw her fire for the first time ever. And she couldn't sit at the table any longer, and she had to leave. And after she'd gone away and taken some time, she came back, and we reconnected, and we felt each other at a different level. And I can't help but think that, and we hugged, and the next day we met and we talked in a more grounded and less emotional way. But I can't help but think that the witnessing of each other in our rawness, in a bit more of that, like authentic rawness, even though it was messy, even though it was yucky, even though it made us feel a bit, well, afterwards I cried for really quite a long time because I felt so bad about what I'd kind of initiated. But then I kept reminding myself, maybe I didn't initiate it, maybe the only initiation I did was open myself to what needed to be shared, and maybe this was all divinely guided. And at this point in time, I'm trusting in that, like it felt good, and it feels like when I have these kind of conflicts with Tom, with my kids, when they see me and they get to witness me in my vulnerable state, when I feel, a bit out of control or completely out of control, and then I can come back and then I can own it. I don't know, there's something about it that is really powerful and creates this intimacy which we all, I feel, are desiring. And I certainly, I desire deeper and deeper and deeper intimacy in my relationships. But the reason why I'm talking about this today is because there are different types of relationships, and I really don't feel like we are at all moments in time designed to go deep in all of the relationships that we have and all of the interactions that we have. And there are people that we have that we kind of click with at a deeper level, and this friend is one of those. The moment I met her, I knew that she was going to be a special and important person in my life, and we're really quite different but then similar, and we learn a lot from each other. And this interaction, we both agreed, has really helped our relationship and helped us to go deeper with each other and bring things to the surface that we've both been holding on to, judgments that we've made about each other that we haven't been allowing ourselves to express and explore together. But there's another conflict that I've had in the last year where I have opened to going deeper with this person, and she doesn't want to, and she's not up for it. And I found that really hard at times, and recently I tried again. She's another woman who lives in the same town as me here, and is part of the community that I live in. But last night I saw her at an event that it's like the opening of a community space, a bar, a restaurant. It was really fun with loads of live music and dancing, and it was really cool. And whereas in previous times, since I tried to reach out the latest time, we agreed that we'd be civil with each other. This time, we've ended on a note where she doesn't want to have anything to do with me, and I have to respect that. And she's not someone who, from the beginning, I thought I clicked with, and who was one of those people that I was being invited to go deeper with. But and she obviously had felt that, and I had this idea in my head that I wanted to go deep with everyone, without being discerning about where I was being invited to really place my energy and invest my energy and time. So when I saw her last night, we didn't even make eye contact. It was very clear that we're not each other's cup of tea. We're not here to pretend and say, "Hi, how are you?" And I loved it. And it's my first experience of this kind of interaction where I've had a conflict, it's not been resolved. I've wanted to, probably because I wanted to make myself feel better, which is something that she called me out on and I didn't like. And then I've allowed myself to just sit in the tension and the not resolution of it all. And then seeing her last night and seeing that actually it was very empowering not to have resolved something, to be okay with not really being each other's cup of tea and not pretending and not being like, oh, we have to be respectful to each other. when we really don't. At this point in time and this point in our journey, it's okay. And that feels really powerful. So I think, last week when I was thinking, doesn't feel like the right time to talk about the conflict I'd had last week. And then it all makes sense when, last night happened and I woke up this morning and said to my husband, it's the time to talk about conflict, because I've got something to compare it to where I can see that sometimes it isn't about going deeper. Sometimes it isn't about resolving the conflict. And it's about discerning when is the time to do it and when is the time not to. So yeah, that is all. I'm sending loads of love and I will connect with you soon.